So range from number 7 says a range from least to greatest is x is greater than 1. So any number greater than 1, so let's take an example here, 2, that number is going to get smaller as we root it. Okay, so what ends up happening then is if we have any roots, it gets smaller. Any powers bigger than 1, it gets bigger. So the boundary is the power 1. So we want to compare everything to power 1. So if x is greater than 1, if we square root it, we're going to get a smaller number. Okay, so this is x to the power 1/2. If we compare it to the other root here, this one here, this is x to the power 2/3. That power is bigger, so we should have a bigger number. So we know that x to the power 2/3 must be bigger than x to the power 1/2. Okay, so where does that divide come in? Well, if I divide by a small number, a number smaller than 1, I get a bigger number. Okay, now as the denominator gets smaller, in this case, we're going to get the cube root. So that's going to be x to the 1 cubed is going to be less than x to the 1/2. Okay, but it's going to be bigger than 1. So that means that this number is going to be less than 1. So that means that 1 over the cube root of x is going to be less than 1. Okay, since the denominator is bigger than 1, that fraction is going to be less than 1. So we now know that that is going to be less than 1, and then we also know that x to the 1/2 is going to be bigger than 1, yet that's still going to be smaller than x to the 2/3. Okay, so then the order is going to be like this, square root, and then the cube root of x squared. So this is going to be the order that we have, and the reasoning that we have is based on some comparisons. We're comparing these two using the fact that power is bigger than 1 will give us numbers bigger. As we get bigger powers, we get bigger numbers. And then we can then compare that fraction, 1 over cube root of x, to the value of 1. And since we know that the square root is bigger than 1, we know that the 1 divided by the cube root must be is less than 1. We know that must be smaller than the square root. Okay, so we're doing a number of comparisons. So this is analysis, which can be a little bit tricky, but we have to start thinking in these ways to analyze problems.